Good afternoon. My name's Brenda, and I'm the owner of Reiki Healing by Brenda in St. Petersburg. And I was a caregiver for my mother, and I totally support all caregivers. And I try to find holistic ways to help you caregivers with your mind, body, spirit issues, any kind of stress that you're going through. So to get a hold of me, you can call Mind and Body Clinic in St. Pete, or you can look me up on Facebook at Reiki Healing by Brenda. My phone number is 727-259-5240. Today I'm going to sponsor and have the privilege of introducing Laureen to you. Laureen is an accredited EFT practitioner. EFT is Emotional Freedom Technique Practitioner, and I know it works because I've done it for years. She's also a trauma-informed yoga teacher. She's a certified Reiki practitioner. She's a volunteer at Yoga4Caregivers Project, and her focus is to help her clients break through obstacles, both physical, mental, and emotional, and anything holding them back and leaving them feeling stuck. And she combines all these healing modalities with the Mindshift coaching to lead clients on a journey of healing from the inside out. Laureen has personal experience with caregiving, the caregiving journey, and she understands the stress and demands caregivers face, which is her motivation for supporting the caregiver community. So relax, enjoy, and join us again tomorrow at 12:15.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Laureen Fonvielle, and I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about EFT tapping. Just a little bit about me. As you heard in the introduction, I am a certified EFT practitioner through EFT International, and I really work with people to help them deal with chronic pain and stress. And then also I work with their caregivers because obviously as caregivers, you all know that there is a lot of stress involved in being a caregiver. My father is my mother's full-time caregiver. And
so come back to 20.
I can see that.
I will build that. And they will come.
Yeah, so we just have
A
that
little background noise going on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I'm excited to be talking about EFT today. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with EFT. If you want to share that with me in the chat, I would love to see how many of you are familiar with EFT. Otherwise, I'm gonna give you an introduction as to what it is, how it is, how it works, rather, some of the science behind it, and hopefully empower you to be able to utilize tapping in your day-to-day life. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it really helps you do just that. It helps you find freedom from your emotions, and it can help with a wide variety of conditions. As I mentioned, it can help with stress and overwhelm. It can also help with anxiety. It's been shown to help with physical pain, and it has also been shown to help with trauma, or if you've been diagnosed with PTSD. And even insomnia and cravings. And I know that I'm saying that this can help with a lot, and that can seem almost too good to be true. I know that that's how I felt when I was first introduced to it, but but just know that that if you go into this with an open mind, I think that it helps. But know that there is science behind this. This isn't something that you just have to believe in for it to be true. There is a lot of science that backs this up. And so what exactly is EFT? It is a process of gently tapping on certain points of the body. And at the same time, you're acknowledging the emotions that you're feeling. And so when I describe this to people, I often describe it in comparison to acupuncture, simply because most people are more familiar with acupuncture, right? So if you go to an acupuncturist and they are going to put those little needles in at certain points of your body, right? And the points of the body that they're putting those needles in at are the end points of the meridians. And the meridians are how energy moves through our body. And so instead of putting needles in, what we're doing is acupressure by gently tapping on these points. And it helps to get that energy moving and clearing out some of that energy. And more of the science part behind it is what's happening is that as you're tapping on these points, it's sending a message to the amygdala in the brain. And the amygdala is the part of the brain that controls fight or flight, right? It's the alarm center of the brain. And the alarm center of the brain is there to protect you, right? If you're in a dangerous situation, it's going to kick on so that you can fight back or that you can run away. However, when you are talking about stress, the amygdala is going off. And if that's going off on a daily basis, it's pumping all of this cortisol through your body. And on a constant basis, that is not healthy. So when you tap on these points, it's sending a message to that alarm center and it's saying, hey, you're actually not in fight or flight. You don't need to be in fight or flight right now. And it's been shown to reduce the amount of cortisol that's pumping through your body by up to 40%. And that is a huge number, 40%. So the answer is simply at your fingertips, right? And I think that's important because I do feel that we have all of the answers within, and sometimes we just need a little bit of guidance in getting there, and tapping is a tool that can help you get there. And the way that it works is that it as you're tapping on these points and you start saying how you're acknowledging how you're feeling, right? It's a practice that really meets you where you're at. So if you're having a really frustrating day, if you're angry, you start by acknowledging those feelings. And that's something a little different than some other modalities, because a lot of the time as humans, what we do is we push down those emotions that we don't like feeling, those emotions like anger, frustration, sadness, overwhelm. Those are not warm fuzzies, right? So what do? We push that stuff down and then we redirect our attention. We throw ourselves into our work, or we throw ourselves into anything that's going to distract us, right? Or redirect our attention. And that can help for a little while. But then as the emotions continue to pile up, I call it stuffing, right? It gets to a point where it's got to come out of the body in some way. And it can come out either, yelling at someone that perhaps that doesn't deserve it, or it can come out physically in the body. And so tapping is a way to really allow yourself to acknowledge how you're feeling. And so often we don't give ourselves the opportunity to do that. And a big part of this, a big part of what makes tapping work, is that you need to tune in and allow yourself to feel the feelings. And that can be scary for some people, because it can be scary to allow yourself to really feel the sadness or feel the anger or feel the frustration. But I promise you, we need to feel it in order to heal it. We can't outrun our emotions. We can try. I know that I certainly have, but that only lasts for so long. And to really make progress and to feel better, because that's what it's all about. It's about feeling good and figuring out ways to make yourself feel good and regulate your nervous system. We need to move through the emotions. So what I want to do is really just start tapping with you guys. So I'm going to invite you to tap along with me. First, I'm just going to go through all the points so that we're clear on where all the points are. And if you take anything away from this presentation, maybe it's simply just noticing, hey, that point, when I'm tapping on that point, I like it. It makes me feel calm. Certain points are, people are drawn to certain points more than others. And sometimes that's because, naturally we touch these points. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But the first point is the pinky side of the hand, and you can tap on either hand. So I know that you guys can see me and I can't see all of you, but I do encourage you to go ahead and tap with me. So it doesn't matter which hand we tap with. There's no wrong way of tapping. I'll just put that out there. If there's any point that feels uncomfortable to you, feel free to skip it. Sometimes people will ask me how many times am I supposed to tap each point? There's no right or wrong answer to that. As you can see, I'm doing it quite a bit until it feels right. Okay. So this is the first point. The second point is right in the center of the head. I like to do this with a open palm, but you can bring the fingertips together too, kind of right in the center there. And then the next point is the start of the eyebrows. And you can do both hands like I'm doing right now, or you can just do one. A lot of my clients will say that they feel uneven if they don't do both. So, and then the side of the eyes, under the eyes, under the nose, onto the chin crease, the collarbone. So for the collarbone here, we have this little like center divot thing. You don't want to go down about an inch and over an inch and a half. So you're really on the fleshy part underneath the collarbone. So you can do it like this with both hands, as I'm demonstrating here. Or another option is to take your hand into the center. And so now your index finger and your thumb are hitting both of those points at the same time. The next point is under the arm. So for women, this is the center of the bra strap. For men, I would say about 2.5, 3 inches underneath the armpit. Now you can do one arm at a time like this. You can cross your arms, which I feel like is a little bit more challenging, or you can do this, which, you kind of feel like a monkey doing this. But all of these ways work. And then the last point is right in the top of the hand between the pinky and the ring finger. I tend to like to bring my hand to my heart when I'm tapping on this point, but you can hold it out, whatever feels right for you. And that's it. Those are all of the points that we use in a round of tapping. We call it a round because we're moving in a circle. Now, as I mentioned, when I was just comparing this to acupuncture, if you go to an acupuncturist, these points are all over your body, but with EFT, we just focus on these main points that we just went over. However, there are additional points that I like to share with people because I do find that they can come in really handy when you're in public, right? So if you are in public, whether you're at a store and you start to feel overwhelmed because there's a lot of people around, or maybe you're at a doctor's visit with your loved one and it's causing you some anxiety and some overwhelm, but you don't want to be sitting there tapping your head and getting the side eye from somebody, right? So some other options are squeezing at the base of the fingernail on each finger. So right at the base of the nail, just squeeze the fingers. So you can just keep your fingers keep your hands in your lap, and it looks like you're fidgeting, right? You're just squeezing the sides of each finger and taking some deep breaths. And again, what's happening internally as we're doing this is it's sending that message to the amygdala, and it's telling the amygdala, hey, you don't need to be sending all this cortisol into the body, right? And I'm a very visual person, so I'm going to show you this quickly. This is called the hand model. A psychologist came up with this, and I'm forgetting his name at the moment. But if we're going to pretend that my fist is the same as my brain, right? So this part of my knuckles here is going to be my prefrontal cortex, right? And So we're going to pretend that my arm is my brainstem. So when we're making decisions, right, the information comes up the brainstem to the prefrontal cortex right here. And that's where we can make those good, sound decisions, right? Now we're going to pretend that my thumb is that alarm center, the amygdala. So if you're really stressed out about something and you're trying to make a decision, the amygdala is going off, the prefrontal cortex is going offline, right? So now the information that's coming up to make that decision, it can't get to the prefrontal cortex because this alarm is going off. And so what tapping does, tapping on these points helps to bring that prefrontal cortex back online so that you can make those sound decisions. Because I think we can all relate to the idea of when we are feeling stressed out and overwhelmed, sometimes you'll even say it like, I can't even think straight. You can't think straight because your prefrontal cortex is offline. So taking some time to take some deep breaths and do a little self-care is going to help, again, that prefrontal cortex come back online so that you can make those sound decisions and feel calmer in your body. And when you feel calmer in your body, of course, you can think better, right? So that's kind of how that works. So now what I want to do is just a simple example of how this works. So what I'm going to ask all of you to do, this is called it's just a breathing exercise, right? And then we're going to be incorporating tapping. So what I want you to do is to take a deep breath in and notice how that feels. Notice, we're going to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 the quality of your breath. So if it's challenging to get that breath in, it would be a 10. If it feels tight and constricted, like how constricted does your breathing feel? If it's very constricted, it would be a 10. If it's not constricted at all, it would be a 0. And so sometimes people will say, oh yes, it feels tight, right? There feels like there's a tightness in my chest, or it feels like bumpy almost when you're taking the breath in, or on the exhale, it feels choppy as you're exhaling. And so you can take all of that into account as you're giving yourself a number. And we do this just simply so that we can have a starting point, so that as we continue to tap, we can check back in and see, has that number gone down a little bit? It quantifies the process some. So again, take a deep breath in and let it go. And then give that a rating on that scale of 1 to 10. For me, I would give myself probably about a 5. There was a little bit of choppiness on the exhale. So that's one number I want you to write down if you have a piece of paper near you, or just keep it in mind. And then the other number, what I want you to do is to take another deep breath in. And on this time, I want you to count. So inhale, and it doesn't matter how slow or how fast you count. You just want to be consistent with it. So inhale, counting till you get to the top of the breath, and then exhale and count on the way out. So for me, I was a 7 on the inhale and a 9 on the exhale. And again, those are just numbers that we're going to use to see if that shifts at all, right? So now I'm going to invite you to tap along with me, again, on the side of the hand, right? And I'm going to say a sentence, and then you are going to repeat that sentence. Hopefully you're in a place where you can repeat that sentence out loud. If not, that's fine. Just say it to yourself in your head. Although I always will encourage you to speak out loud. There's something powerful about that. And so what this point right here is the setup point. So we're going to say the sentence 3 times. So even though my breathing feels constricted, I'm acknowledging how I feel.
Even though my breathing feels constricted, I'm acknowledging how I feel.
Even though my breathing feels constricted, I love and accept myself.
Even though my breathing feels constricted, I love and accept myself.
Even though there's some constriction in my breathing, I'm acknowledging how I feel.
Even though there is some constriction in my breathing, I am acknowledging how I feel.
And then we're going to move to the top of the head. My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
Eyebrows. My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
Side of the eyes. My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
Under the eyes. There's constriction in my breathing.
There is constriction in my breathing.
Under the nose. My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
Onto the chin. There's constriction in my breathing.
There is constriction in my breathing.
And then the collarbone. There's constriction in my breathing.
There's constriction in my breathing.
Under the arm. I feel this constriction in my chest.
I feel this constriction in my chest.
And then the top of the hand. I feel this constriction in my chest.
I feel this constriction in my chest.
And then we're going to pause right there. I like to bring both my hands over my heart and take a deep breath in and let it go. So that was our first round of tapping. And I'm just going to pause right there and ask you to check back in with your numbers. First, with that first number of the quality of your breath. So do that first. Take a deep breath in and let it go. And notice if anything shifted for you. Does it feel a little easier to take the breath in? Or perhaps it feels a little bit more challenging to take the breath in. And I do want to acknowledge that, because sometimes that happens. And the reason why that happens sometimes is that we're bringing our attention to a topic, right? Whether it's like the physical sensation on our chest that we're doing right now, or if we were focusing on an emotion. When we bring our attention to something, it can intensify. That does not mean that tapping doesn't work for you. It actually means that it does work for you, and you just need to keep going. And when we're tapping, we start globally, right? And that's kind of what I'm doing here in this example, is this constriction in our chest. And then you try to get more and more honed in on the sensation. So if the word for you is like feeling, the tightness in your chest, or the heaviness in your chest, or whatever words come to mind for you in your description of the sensation that you're feeling. If you're doing this on your own, you want to try and use those words. Okay, and then also just take another deep breath in and do the counting again, and see if the inhale and the exhale have extended anymore. So we'll just do that again. Take a nice deep breath in and let it go. And Linda, I appreciate you being my echo. I'd love to ask you if you just for your feedback on what you experienced in doing that.
I love this. I'm a proponent of tapping. I've done tapping before, but I have to tell you, when I first learned tapping, the person that taught it to me, I said, "Oh, my lip is almost black and blue."
Oh no!
I had a lot of tapping to do. I always end mine with, "I completely love and accept myself."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is the like textbook way of ending that first sentence is, even though, I'm feeling sad, I love and accept myself. Sometimes people struggle with saying I love and accept myself, so we can flex that statement a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do one more round. We have a few more minutes. And if there's anyone that's like feeling anything in particular, or having any sort of experience through this, feel free to comment in the Zoom chat and let me know. All right, we're going to come back to the side of the hand. Even though there's still some constriction there.
Even though there is still some constriction there.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even though I still feel this tightness in my chest.
Even though I still feel this tightness in my chest.
I'm open for tapping to help.
I am open for tapping to help.
Even though I still feel this tightness in my chest.
Even though I still feel this tightness in my chest.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
This tightness in my chest.
This tightness in my chest.
All of this tightness in my chest.
All this tightness in my chest.
My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
This tightness in my chest.
This tightness in my chest.
My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
All of this tightness in my chest.
All this tightness in my chest.
All of this tightness in my chest.
All of this tightness in my chest.
My breathing feels constricted.
My breathing feels constricted.
And then we'll just take a nice deep breath in and let it go. And this is often the place that I start when I'm introducing tapping to people, just because I feel like it's easiest to notice a difference in your breathing, and for you to take a minute to be like, wow, I do feel a little bit lighter. And I see here that Carrie is asking a question: does this help for knee pain? Yes, it can help for any type of physical pain. I work with quite a few people who are dealing with chronic pain or have been recently diagnosed with a chronic illness. And there are a lot of emotional contributors to physical pain. And that's not to say that the pain isn't real. It's 100% real. But sometimes there are emotions that are, or things that have happened in your past that are impacting you presently. And EFT can help to connect the dots with some of that. And in doing so, it can relieve your pain. And then another one of Carrie's questions is, can you tap on someone else? So there is surrogate tapping that you can do. And so you there's a technique for that. So you can tap talking about the situation or about what that person is going through, and then you can tap as if you're talking to that person, and then you can tap, and sometimes it naturally flows in this way. And I know that this can sound a little like what, but so then you can tap as if you are that person, and this actually also can be done for animals too. But yes, you can tap for someone else. It is possible. So this was just a quick little intro to EFT and how it can work. But I hope that it, like I said, if anything, you just go through those points and know that these are literally the answers can be at your fingertips, and all you need to do is just tap and breathe. And sometimes people will say to me, well, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to say. Okay. And so in the beginning, if you're totally new to this, I will give you two options of how you can get started. One is just sticking with the main emotion. So if the main emotion is anger or sadness, whatever it is, even though I'm so angry, I'm acknowledging it right now. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Just stay with that emotion until something starts to shift, and maybe it's like, oh, I'm not so angry, I'm frustrated now, and then go without that emotion. The other way I tell people they can try and find the words is that if you're pretend like you're calling a friend and you are just telling them about your day and you're letting them know what's going on. So if it's today was really tough. I can't believe the doctor said that to me like that, or it made me feel like this. It's just you're just talking and tapping as if you're talking to a friend, kind of unloading everything that you've got going on. So that's another option for how you can try and find the words yourself. But this practice really is the most powerful when you are using your own words. There's tons of YouTube videos out there. I have lots of videos on my website on a variety of different topics, but using your own words is where you'll really begin to find the shift and feel a difference. Yeah. So, to anyone who's listening to this, if you want to find out more about tapping, you can, I'd be happy to chat with you. I offer free consultations, free 30-minute consultations, and you can sign up for one of those at talkwithlauren.com. Yeah,
Thank you.
my website is Mindshift with Lauren too. So if you wanted to look me up there too, but yeah, I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to come and talk to you. And like I said, I'm passionate about helping caregivers just because it's near and dear to my heart and my family. So
This is good stuff. Thank you,
Yeah.
my friend. I
Thank
so
you so much for
appreciate
having
you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you,
Have
Linda.
a delicious day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.